So while at Devil's Fork State Park for 4th of July week, we had the opportunity to take out a pontoon boat from Eclectic Sun.
So many thanks to them for all their hospitality, and obviously this video is now sponsored by Eclectic Sun, Paddlesports and Boats.
Yes, they did a great job. Hope you enjoy this video, and we're going to go through and explain the process and how it all works. Thanks. So last time we were in Devil's Fork, it was Halloween weekend of 2020, and we rented a pontoon boat.
Yeah, and the weather was mild, like not swimming, but we wanted to see the lake, and so we rented the boat.
We rented the pontoon boat from Eclectic Sun, who is here in the park, and they did such an unbelievable job.
Right.
When we booked this trip, I knew that we were going to take out a pontoon boat.
And we've been in contact with them a little bit with just some pictures that we had taken and some video we taken, just letting them use that, just because we had such a great time. We felt like they were a great company, and we're happy to let them have a picture or two of the kids on the boat and some of the video that we shot.
So we got to talking with them, and they gave us an opportunity to take out one of their boats while we were here the Friday before 4th of July. And
as you can well imagine, 4th of July weekend on a lake is crazy time. So Friday before the 4th was wonderful.
Yes, it had rained earlier that day, so we were a little late getting started. We worked with them, and Gary let us know kind of what the weather was supposed to be, because he had better self-service than we had, so we didn't really know.
We just went with what he said.
So he told us, come back up here. It should be clear by noon. Sure enough, the rain had stopped about 11:30. They uncovered the boat, just like last time. We filled out the paperwork that liability paperwork,
and that they sized our life jackets, sizing of the kids, what size we need, what.
That's right. Then
for safety purposes, explained how it all works.
And one of the things they do is they do verify that the driver has experience boating, because this is not something that just any newbie needs to go out and do.
Yeah, I mean, if Jonathan had not had experience driving a boat on a regular basis previously, and I had not seen him back in and out the camper, I probably wouldn't have felt comfortable. I would not have felt comfortable on my own. Even with all the great explanation that they had, it very much is, I'm an experienced boater, I didn't bring my boat, or I don't have a boat right now,
right, situation.
Because it's a beautiful, beautiful brand new boat.
Gary walks you around, points out any little dings or nicks in the boat, so that when you return it, you can verify that there's no new dings or anything.
It's like rent a car.
Then he helped load all of our stuff in, right there in the parking lot. Everything gets loaded in, you get up on the boat.
Even the kids.
Yes, kids too. And then he walks you through the inside. Is there any stitching? This is a brand new boat, so there was nothing in the boat in 2020.
Gorgeous boat.
Did have a few little picks in the stitching, and he pointed that out so that we knew we didn't do it. And then what I love more than anything is they get out a map of the lake, and Gary walks you through where the waterfalls are and the best way to get there.
Come straight up the middle of the lake. You'll see this opening here. Once you cut across the middle, you'll remember you'll have some houses here at Roundhouse Point. Okay, that's one of the groups of homes. The dam's over here off to the right. The wall, I'm sure you guys were over at the wall the last time you were out. Just remember not to get right there on top of the wall. I've seen some rocks come off of that. Okay. But up the middle of the lake, okay, as you're coming through here, you'll see a little island to your right. You'll see this big point to get around.
Even to the one point where he says, there's two power poles up here. You're going to head toward those power poles.
Okay. If you'll pull into this large cove area here, it'll take you in here to find Devil's Hole. If you look up on top of the ridge, you're going to see power lines up there, and you'll see two towers. Okay. When you're back here, you'll see 3, but as you come in closer, there'll only be these 2 visible to you. I was in there last time, a couple of trees have fallen across, but it might, you know, maybe if you're using the drone, you might be able to get in and get a little bit better view of Devil's Hole. But really easy navigating in and out of that cove. It's not a very large cove, so it's pretty self-explanatory. There's a small waterfall off to the right here, which you should be able to spot. Just make sure you don't turn around and leave. That's not the big one.
Okay.
But you can pull up there. You'd probably get within 4 or 5 feet of that one. There's at least 12 feet of water depth there. Kind of neat one with the rain. We had some rain already this morning, a little bit the other day, so there should be a good amount of water flowing. But as you continue in here, over here, just left of where the word creek is, there's a buoy that'll be on your port side. You're going to see a sign here for the Foothills Trail. Just where that buoy's at, it marks a long rock that's in the water there that comes all the way to this little point right here. So just keep that on your port, you'll be fine. You go over and then it makes a 90 to go into Laurel. Okay, opens up almost as wide as this paved area. And that's that large one. I'm sure you probably remember when you were here last time. Goes up over 80 feet. Big rock faces in front of you. The lake was down a little bit this morning from what I can tell. You're going to have at least 4 feet of water there, I would think, so you can get up to there. Just remember you can't drive back in there, behind it, but, swimming in there, highly encouraged.
Okay.
So it's really pretty. Water's going to be a little cool, at the waterfalls, obviously, but really neat. You should be able, for yourself, you could wade back in there.
Okay. He said, swimming to this one is highly encouraged. And we realized why.
Yeah,
After
we
got
as
out,
much as I went to put my toe in the water, it was like, no, it's cold. I sent him ahead. I'm like, is this worth me getting in the water and swimming around this big rock? And it was. It was 100% worth it. And actually, once you get in the water, you're fine until you got to the waterfall, and then
it got really cold.
Really cold. It was like taking a cold plunge.
Up?
Like it was cold. Maybe the water was like 70 degrees cold, and then it went to like 50 degrees cold. Like literally within 6 inches. I'm here. I'm standing. It's not cold. Right there, it's deep, and it's really cold.
Now there were a couple people as we were leaving that actually took their boat back to where we were swimming. I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do it if I owned the boat. But some of them had really small little ski fishing boats. But
I was able to stand.
It was shallow.
And I would say it's probably about 4 feet, maybe 3.5. So you really need to know your boat. And honestly, that day the water was up a little bit. So if the water happens to be down.
Well, and then like off to one side there was like a tree sticking out. So that's going to change on occasion. And honestly, it was really cool for us to swim in as a family.
That's true. And
it just be sitting at the bottom of the waterfall and it splashing on you and laughing because somebody got a little close to where it was really cold. And, it made it took a little bit of like, we're going to wreck somebody's boat away. And it made it more of an experience.
Very much so. Then there was another one we got out and we swam at. I'm going to put the name down below because I can't remember the names of all the waterfalls off the top of my head. But that was another one that we were able to anchor the boat, and Gary explained how to anchor the boat perfectly. We anchored the boat and were able to swim and actually went through that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Out back up a little bit so that we had room for other people. People were, further in, people were further out, but let people swim in.
And that was one that Gary told me, there's a rock. Don't get so close because there is a rock there. And sure enough, we were standing on that rock. And it was probably only 2 feet under the surface. So.
Yeah, I was sitting on it out of the water, so it couldn't have been that deep in there. And it was a big rock. Like there were several people sitting on it.
Yes.
And so we had swam out to kind of that, and then gauged where we thought, but we were able to go behind it and come through it, and so it was pretty spectacular.
Yes, that was neat. And
that's such a rare occurrence for us, anyway. We got a monkey.
Same Henry. One of the last waterfalls, Bad Creek was the last one. Second last one that we went to was the Lower Whitewater Falls, which is right by the power station.
Didn't get super close to it.
Yeah, we didn't get real close to it because there was a lot of floating debris and big logs. Not just there's
huge. Been some storms lately, and Gary said that if there's been a lot of storms, you'll see where stuff's washed down into, and so there was like whole trees.
Yeah, so we didn't get too close to that one, but we just enjoyed a day on the lake. One of the things that I kind of was curious about was the length of time that we were going to be out there and what we would be able to do. When we were here last time, we did a 4-hour rental. We were able to make it to all the waterfalls right pretty close to 4 hours. We also went over to the wall, but we didn't get out and swim. We didn't
Relax.
we didn't partake in any of the things that you kind of do on the lake. So this time we did. We stopped and we swam, and the kids have jumped out several times at almost every waterfall. And 4 hours, we barely got back. So we didn't get a chance to go over to the dam and to the wall.
And we had planned on 6, but with weather, you kind of have to roll with the weather coming in over the mountain.
Yeah. So if you want to swim and you want to do all that other stuff,
I would say 6 would have been preferable. I think there was like a 4, 6, 8 option,
That's right.
and I felt like originally when we first talked about it, that 8 seemed like a long time, especially with little guys. I mean, they're getting bigger, but that's still a long time. But I think they would have stayed out there 8. They loved swimming off that boat.
They did.
Loved swimming, jumping in the water and swimming, and it was cold. It was cold.
Didn't bother them.
And the sun wasn't even out. Like to me, some of the other things we did later, like it was hot, and so you cooled off, and it was refreshing. It was like overcast most of the day, so it was like, it's not refreshing. I'm not cold enough. I'm not hot enough to think that feels good. I got in a couple times. I got in when their waterfalls were right there, and just because that is an experience, even, with really cold water, it was an experience, and it was just something that you had to do.
Yeah, I've seen a couple people online post that they think it's really expensive to rent a boat, and it is expensive, but it's a high quality boat. It's a really nice boat.
And the one we were on, Indian Summer, was brand new.
Yes.
The other Coney Bell was brand new.
Yeah, they have 3 boats. They have the 2 brand new ones, and they have a one, I think she said it's a 2017. She's kept it just because it's her favorite boat. She loves the layout. And it's just been a good boat, so she's kept it. So those are the 3 boats, and we had an agreed upon time that we were going to be back at the dock, and we were about a minute behind, but he texted, asked where we were. I said, we're coming around by the campground. He said, I see you. He was there, already had the trailer backed in at the ramp. I pulled up, he hopped on board, he took over, and he drove it around, put it on the trailer, drove us back over, and we unloaded everything back into our car.
And then we were done. Like, they cleaned it. They took care of everything.
They then take it to the gas station, and they fill it back up with gas, and they will charge your card exactly what they paid, which was another thing that really surprised me.
Yeah, because, renting a car, it's going to be $8 a gallon or something.
I expected there to be some sort of a fuel surcharge, but they didn't. They charge exactly what it cost to gas the boat up. So that was very, very efficient, very good. Once again, from beginning to end, top-notch, first class, very well done.
One of the other pieces of their business is they have like the concession stand over at the swimming area. They have all kinds of rental equipment. So they have chairs and tables. If you're picnicking and you don't want to bring all the stuff, you can rent it all from them. They also have snacks and souvenirs and dry bags and masks and all kinds of things you might want for the water. But the bigger part of that side of the lake is they have kayaks, canoes, and paddleboards. So Clara has been eyeing the paddleboards and kind of talking about it a little bit over the last couple days of the trip. And so we went back over, and we're like, hey, what would it take for us to get on a paddleboard? Do you have any availability? And it was the 4th of July. It was the 4th.
On the 4th.
And she was like, yeah, we can make that happen. And we got on 2 inflatable paddleboards. We felt like that seemed a little bit easier to learning curve.
And the kids did great.
They were great. The kids had the best time.
Yeah.
Claire is now completely addicted. So if there's people out there that, want to sponsor paddleboards,
so they
hook us up.
They have sit-in kayaks, which they prefer not to unless people are really, really comfortable and know.
If you really know what you're doing.
Kayaks, they prefer. They said the sit-on kayaks. They had 1-person, 2-person, and 3-person sit-on kayaks. They had canoes. I've mentioned the inflatable paddleboards that we were on, and they had regular paddleboards. So
they also had like tubes and other things that people. Everywhere we went in the day use, you could see Eclectic Sun and their phone number on the back. So there was a lot of just things around at the day use area that they were renting. So people were using their tubes to float in the swimming area and enjoying just kind of some downtime.
And again, just like with the pontoon boat, they did a great job. They took you down to the water, they got you started.
Yeah, the young guys down there. Neighbors.
Yeah.
The young guys down there did a great job. They made sure again. Here's your life jacket. Here's your whistle. Whistles are for emergencies. Like, we'll call 911 if we hear a whistle. Here, make sure your life jackets fit appropriately. We walked down. And the young guys are like, okay, have you ever done this before? Really, what you need to do, if you want to sit, let's start with, you need to sit here. If you're going to take a second person, sit a little bit further back, and she needs to sit here. So that, I was nervous. I'm bigger and I'm not in great shape, but Claire was so excited about it. I was like, I'll sit, and you can sit on the front or kneel or whatever. And we got where I was more comfortable kneeling once we kind of got started, and it just felt easier for me to paddle kind of without being, squatted down. I think you sat mostly the whole time.
I sat. My knees are awful, so I sat.
So we never tipped over, so that's a bonus. The only time I really felt wobbly is when I was kneeling and she was standing, and then a boat came by. And what I was really impressed with was too is they said, okay, here's the map. We're here on the map. Paddleboards, staying out of boat traffic. You need to hug the shoreline. We were renting it for an hour. Most people, if you get to this other boat ramp, then which is the
day use ramp.
Anyway, if you get to the other boat ramp, so they start on the map. We're here. You need to kind of hug the coastline to the left. If you get to this other boat ramp, then that is kind of your 30-minute mark. You probably need to start coming back. And I'll be honest, all the map stuff on the lake went like this with me. I couldn't visualize it. That made perfect sense. I stay with the shore on my left. I head that way. I see this. That's about the amount of time I need to come back. Because you're on the water. You don't want necessarily your watch or your phone. Now, they did have dry bag options where they would let you borrow a dry bag for the day to, put your stuff in. But that made perfect sense to me. I'm doing this. I'm turning around. I'm coming back. So I felt very comfortable getting on it, getting out in the water, even though, I wouldn't have felt so comfortable driving the boat or being in charge of getting us back to where we came from. I just think they do such a great job with the lake and knowing their customers. But then we got back. We didn't go that far because we wanted to have a chance for the kids to kind of do it by themselves and right there outside the swimming area, and they did. And they standing up, paddling.
Yeah, they both hopped up really quick. They stood up and did great.
And no problem getting up, getting down, paddling themselves around, turning around, coming back. It was just like, dang. So now, as we walked around this morning, Claire's been like, they have paddleboards. What's your story with your paddleboard? So that's like her mission now in life is, so we got to find her a used one or really work on how we save up for big ticket items.
And then what impressed me, and unfortunately I didn't have a camera with me, I didn't even really think about it, but I was impressed after we turned everything in, how they sanitized and cleaned everything. All the life jackets went onto a separate rack to be sanitized and cleaned. The whistles went into a bowl of sanitizer. They wiped down the paddles with Clorox wipes.
They really did. Everything was very much separate and sanitized. Then even the paddleboard, they came out and they sprayed them down. They had some kind of solution they sprayed on them, sprayed them down, wiped them down before they put them back in rotation. That's a lot of, there was probably 10 or 15 minutes worth of cleaning work for every hour somebody took a paddleboard out. I was impressed with that.
Yeah, they did a really nice job, and I would highly recommend. Obviously, they sponsored us for this trip, but I almost kind of wish they hadn't, because I would have done the exact same thing. I would have said exactly the same things about them and their service. Debbie, Gary,
Carrie, Amber, yeah. They all the people in the gift shop, everybody was fantastic.
They were wonderful. I asked Debbie about the name Eclectic Sun because I've always been kind of curious about it, and she said she's been a fan of the show CBS Sunday Morning for more than 20 years, and she Loved how there's always different suns
between the segments. If you ever notice, there's like an artistic rendering of a sun.
And as she was coming up with the name, she just loved that they always have eclectic suns. And she also kind of does it as an homage to the eclectic people that come through the park.
There's always somebody different every time. There's different people and personalities.
So I thought that was really neat, and I really enjoyed our time with the folks at Eclectic Sun. And when you come to Devil's Fork, frankly, if you're at any of the other parks in here, if you're Kiwi Toxaway, if you're at Table Rock,
if you're at Coney,
even a Coney, and you've got a day, it's worth coming over. You want to be on the water?
Here.
Yeah,
100%.
Absolutely worth it. We definitely give it a thumbs up to Eclectic Sun. So last time we were at Devil's Fork, back in 2002, we were here for Halloween weekend, and we decided to rent a pontoon boat.
We went here in 2002.
2020. Okay. You over there, and you ride on the back. What is this guy?